We will call the City-approved Common Council meeting for January 13th, 2014 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Gabe Greer and remain standing for the invocation led by Pastor Rod Carell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come to you and thank you for this opportunity to gather together, and we thank you for this new year that you've given to us and allowed us to prosper. And God, we're just asking for your blessing this year on the city of Peru, Miami County, and we just ask God that you would guide and direct all things that would be according to your will. Father, for the meeting tonight, we ask you to guide and direct each of our council, and Lord, for our leaders of our city, keep your hand upon them, give them direction and vision. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Alley.
Here.
Goff.
Here.
Greer.
Here.
Guston.
Here.
Crosskoff.
Here.
Lee. Here. Torrance.
Here.
All present. Next item, reading and correcting of the journal.
Move we suspend the rules and dispense with the reading and correcting of the journal.
Second.
Have been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, seconded by, who was the second?
Terry.
Terry, and second by Councilman Alley to suspend the rules and reading and correcting of the journal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communications.
Phyllis, what you got for us?
Okay, I'd like to report on our Civic Center. In the month of December, 297 people used the center. She held 15 parties, and she was able to return $382.65 to the city. In the year of 2012, went back a little bit. I'm going to do 212 too,
Okay.
to do a little bit of comparison here. Try to get more people to use our center. In 2012, they returned $3,315.48 back to the city. And in 2013, they returned $2,435.32. So that's a drop of $880.16. I would like to encourage everybody to use our center. It's really nice over there, parties, showers, just about everything you can think of to do, as long as it's legal. No drinks or anything like that. Serve some good meals, and I'd like to see it used a little bit more.
I think when the state finishes that road over there, it'll probably help a lot.
Well, I don't know. It probably will slow it down a little bit, one lane for a while now. I just hope that it does. Yeah.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Mr. C.
The summary for the building zoning code enforcement monthly report. Commercial permits, 2% of what we did was permits. Complaints were 22%. Consults and meetings, 47%. Residential permits was 29%. We had one rehabilitation permit, 4 building permits, 7 code enforcements, 15 building permits. 7 complaints regarding code enforcements, 2 consults regarding code enforcement, 6 zoning issues, residential demolition permits of 6, residential electrical permits of 3, residential new rehabilitation permits of 2, and residential roofing permits, 3 of them. That's it.
Thank you for a good job in 2013.
Before we move on, I was going to give you a little breakdown. Ago, we were looking at 11 inches of snow, and today it's about all gone, so weather in Indiana continues to be a mystery. But we look at what our guys completed during that time, starting on Sunday, January the 5th, which I think they did a great job of getting the roads open as quickly as they did and to widen out the streets. So, my hat's off to all the guys down there that worked through this snow situation that we had. But according to Bill McQueen, during that time we had used around 650 gallons of fuel. The payloader was used 34 hours, and that's mainly loading the salt down at the salt barn into the trucks. Used 112.5 tons of salt. And payroll hours, we had a total of 244. Of that, about 196 was overtime because they came in on Sunday, so they're working their regular shifts now. But if you want to look at it and say, okay, what's that cost us? These are kind of rounded numbers. The salt was about $7,650. And payroll, it's going to be around $3,700. And fuel was about $2,190 somewhere. So it cost us about $13,500 for that snow event. But you guys did a great job. We were able to go from red to orange pretty quick. Of course, all of them are lifted now. There's no code. It's basically a code white at this point. We have been that way for some time. But, you know, you look on Tuesday, we were already going into code orange. So we had the streets open and passable, and I just appreciate the job they did. They did a great job for us. So, any questions?
And when did they adopt this color code?
Pardon me?
When did they adopt this red and orange? I don't remember ever hearing that before until
Well,
this
it's
year.
a kind of a state code that everybody's adopted, so that when they look, it used to be you'd have a snow advisory and a snow emergency, but then some people had different measurements. So if they look across the state, they can say everybody went red or orange or white or whatever their code was going to be. So red is saying like a stoplight, stop driving, get off the road. Orange is travel with caution. White, you're free to go wherever you want.
I just wondered when they adopted it. I hadn't really ever
The
heard
state
it before.
adopted that. It's probably been 3 or 4 years ago. We just went to it a year or two ago, maybe. Before that, we were snow advisory, snow emergency. And emergency means nobody can drive, and you can be pulled over if you are. So, and in case anybody's wondering, you know, when we are plowing snow, they want to know, you know, how are we doing this and why do we do it the way we do? First off, we want to make sure all the emergency routes are done, so that if people have to get to the hospital, those roads are passing, mainly Grant Street, Logan Street, and those Boulevard, and those types of things. Then we look at nursing homes so that ambulances can get to them. And then they go out into the planned into the neighborhoods, what section they have. And we had 5 drivers at a time. We was going 24/7, 12-hour shifts, or not 24/7, but 24 hours a day for the couple of days, just to get the snow removed. And so we had 5 trucks at a time with 1 on standby. In case we had a breakdown, they can go get the other truck and keep on moving. So we did have breakdowns, but it was minimal. Hoses breaking, things like that. But no, all in all, I think they stepped up to the challenge and did a great job.
I agree. I agree.
So, any other questions on that? And it just gives you an idea of what we faced and the amount of product we had to use to get the roads open and the total cost to the city. So, those aren't things you plan on, they just happen. So, okay. Nothing else? Well, I go into unfinished business. Under that, we have nothing on the agenda. Do we have anybody had any unfinished business? You know of any from the council? Moving on to new business. First one is ordinance number 1, 2014.
An ordinance to repeal and replace 7.24 of the city-approved Code of Ordinances.
I move we consider ordinance 14.
Seconded.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosscross, second by Councilwoman Torrance to consider ordinance number 1, 2014. Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
I move we adopt ordinance number 1, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Guston to adopt ordinance number 1, 2014. Questions on this particular ordinance? We did not have any areas of the city where there are marked truck routes, and if it's not marked a truck route, the heavy trucks are not supposed to be driving down those streets. They do tear up some of our streets that aren't built as well as other areas of town. Plus, if you remember a few years ago, a heavy truck driving down Fremont popped 2 16-inch water mains. that's very costly when you have to replace those, because the weight bearing on that street would not support the weight of a semi hauling rolled steel. And so we put a sign up here in the interim to say, and it says no semis, but that isn't stopping it. There are other areas of town where it is breaking down roads, so what this is saying is that if it's not marked a truck route, the semis, and that's why it is worded the way it is semis, cannot drive on those now. You know, vehicles like our utility trucks, you know, that are doing construction work, they're not considered a semi, so they can go in there and you're, you know, FedEx, things like that, you know, they're going to be able to drive in those. And any semi that is moving someone, because the weight of that is usually not as heavy, and we can't say, well, no, you can't move out of your house and use a semi. So, you know, those are going to be allowed in there. But it's a way to control some of the truck traffic on city streets, narrow streets, those who are not able to be traveling on because of the weight bearing on those streets. It could demolish a road, and that's exactly what we've had. So we decided to go with this, and that way we can help control the traffic and also save some of our streets and water lines and other infrastructure beneath the street. Any question?
Signage, you going to have
Yeah.
truck route
Yeah, Wade's
signage?
already pointed out how many signs we'll have to have, and once this passes, he'll start making the signs.
So we're going to have truck route or no trucks? Or
It's going to say truck route, it's the official language.
we're designated these streets, we're not telling them which ones they can't drive on, we're telling them which ones they can drive on.
Correct.
Okay.
And they can't drive on the others.
The truck route is the route. Just like a bike route or anything like that, you have to identify whether it's allowed. So that's where we can allow, they can be allowed to travel on.
Obviously, all of 19 is okay because that's a state highway.
That's a state highway. Anything state highway is, we can't change that. So coming in on South Broadway, which is a state highway, then going east on Main Street, that's a state highway. So they can travel on that. We don't have to mark those since they're state highways.
Dollar General appreciates that.
I know they do.
They have a lot of trucks go through here.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Roll call.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going by the template that is in it. So that's the end of it. Okay, get the right one. Next item is ordinance number 2, 2014.
An ordinance amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and maps of the city of Prue, Indiana.
Move we consider ordinance number 2, 2014.
Second.
Who seconded that? Steve, okay. Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Goff, to consider ordinance number 2, 2014. Roll call?
Alley,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
I move we adopt ordinance 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Guston, to adopt ordinance 2, 2014. Questions? Denny? Denny,
Denny?
you want to come up to the, talk about this zoning change?
What would you,
What are you trying to do?
beg pardon?
What are you trying to do?
Bring the maps.
This residence is currently zoned to B3, and they would like to return it to R1. And that's it. It's a residential property. There's, if you would like to see,
And they are in the audience tonight as well.
beg pardon?
They are in the audience tonight, the people who are requesting it. No, no, you can show them that. I just say the individuals who own the property are here in the audience.
It's this property right here. This is Third Street. That's the east. Over there is where the,
It's all the way at the end, right? It's all the way at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way at the end of the street.
and it's all this right here. All it is the house. So
Looks all right.
this is Third, east end, Third Street.
It is now a residence, Denny, it's now a residence
Resident.
Always been a residence.
with no,
Yeah.
there's no business going on inside.
No.
But the zoning is right now business 3, B3, right?
I might add, this did come before the Plan Commission, which I served on, and which Mark Allen sitting out there, that he's the president of,
Today it's
and nobody had any problem doing
across
this.
the street from that.
Anything you want to say, Mark?
Yeah.
No, how it ever got to B3, I don't know.
I don't
quite
either.
Frankly, and I think we're just trying to
I do not know either.
get the map square. And we're going through the map, each individual section of the map, and this particular property, somewhere down the line, nobody knows how it got to be a B3. And in good conscience, it should be an R, obviously, and we're just trying to get, and we asked the Borowskis to, at their behest, we told them that they could certainly go back and have it registered as R1, and I think they did that already. So we're just asking for the approval of the city council to put it back the way it should be.
Questions from the audience? Do you have anything to add from the Mr. and Mrs. Roski?
Like Sister C had said, and Mr. Allen, that we don't believe it ever should have been B3, but we've been through all that at this point, and it's always been nothing but a residence
Right.
since it
Okay.
was built.
Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes,
Motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 3, 2014.
An ordinance to vacate a public alley in the city of Peru.
Move we consider ordinance number 3, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Greer, to consider ordinance number 3, 2014. Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
yes,
I move we adopt ordinance number 3, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Guston, to adopt 14. Questions? Denny? Show.
We'll do this again.
Just go up the hill?
This is McKinnon Street,
Yeah.
and this is an alley that's going to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the alleys that we're vacating. They've never had anything there. I mean, you can see there's since built where the alley was, so it's just a,
It was plotted, never
we're
used.
just, what?
It was plotted, never used.
Yes, so we're just, by vacating the alley, then all this becomes one parcel, and it simplifies everything.
Okay.
Sounds good.
and again, this was discussed with the Plan Commission, and nobody seemed to have any problem with it.
It'll stay as it is.
I drove up there and couldn't find the alley.
Yeah,
I don't think there is one.
but, yeah,
Who mows it?
people, I guess, that live there, I don't know. It's something different, I'll tell you.
So they own the other side there?
Yeah, yeah, and I've got all the documentation, but you can see that they must be filling stuff on it. Tracy just snapped it.
Yeah. Almost got crushed by a giant wind back there.
That's,
Middle of the storm. Yeah. Storm blew in, I was looking for pools
this
there.
is the alleys behind it.
This is an alley here.
This is an alley that was. These two houses here.
Ran away from it.
Because they use that, but everything else is around.
I may add,
Boy, I was up there
while
and I
Denny's
couldn't see
showing
any
the
alley
others,
there anyway.
if you look at this area, the reason there's no alley, and you look about halfway down, there is an alley
Those
comes
guys are all
off the
mowing it
old South
anyway.
Broadway, the brick street.
Not again, not
Like
anymore.
just dead ends. That's because it goes in at this level, and then at where it ends, the ground
Once you feel left
goes
out.
up about 8 to 10 feet. It's pretty well straight up. So that's why that alley was never extended, because they'd have to cut into the hillside and go up on top. So they just stopped the alley there, and what he's showing you as never been developed through there. But that's the reason why it didn't extend through, because there was a topography change there.
I wonder why this didn't happen a long time ago.
I don't either.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I guess so.
Yeah. I never affected anybody, really.
Well, everybody lived there, was happy with it, nobody complained.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Allie,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee, Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item is ordinance number 4, 2014.
An ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated Fire Territory Equipment Replacement Fund to the Fire Territory Equipment Replacement Budget the sum of $15,500.
Move we consider ordinance number 4, 2014.
I'll second that.
That's been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Torrance, to consider ordinance number 4, 2014. Roll call.
Allie,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee, Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, since it's an appropriation of money, it will come back next vote. Next item, ordinance number 5, 2014.
An ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated Fire Territory Fund to the Fire Territory Budget the sum of $351,371.
I move we consider ordinance number 5, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Lee, to consider ordinance number 5, 2014. Roll call.
Allie,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee, Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, that also is an appropriation, so that will come back next month for final vote. Next item is ordinance number 6, 2014.
An ordinance on the fire department conducting a fire watch when fire systems are out of service.
Move we 6, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Goff, to consider ordinance number 6, 2014. Roll call.
Allie,
Yes.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee, Torrance.
Yes.
Move we adopt ordinance number 6, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt ordinance number 6, 2014. Questions? Chief?
The Indiana Fire Prevention Code says that when suppression systems and alarm systems are out of service, that we either evacuate the building or we conduct a fire watch. I've been on the fire department 29 years, and I've personally done a fire watch at the high school when Steve was up there. I don't even remember what year it was, but it just doesn't happen that often. We had this cold snap, and Monday, the hospital went down. Well, the state says to do a fire watch, you've got to be a certified firefighter in the state of Indiana. So I had to send firemen up there. Late Monday, Blair Ridge went down. We was working short Monday, so again, evacuating those facilities, and it was the skilled side of Blair Ridge, isn't an option. So I sent firemen to Blair Ridge, backfilling with off-duty guys because we was at our minimum staffing. Tuesday morning, I get a call from maintenance down at Western Reman. Their sprinkler system had froze up, and that's what was happening with this cold snap. These sprinkler systems were freezing up, and they were having to shut them down and drain them. Not a good thing when you're in a hospital, nursing home, or a big manufacturing facility. So this was a problem. And the only way to deal with it was to send on-duty guys to conduct the fire watch and backfill with off-duty guys so that we could still do all the other things that we need to do. This has never happened before, but again, trying to be proactive by putting this ordinance in place, we can charge those facilities back from some of the overtime use, and that's all we're doing. We're not going to make money with this, but we need to be able to charge for some of that back because this event lasted from Monday through Thursday around the clock with firemen around the clock at these facilities because it took Corson time to get in and cut those split pipes out. Some of it, Blair Ridge was plastic, so it had to sit 24 hours before they could fill the system. And again, the option that we have in the Indiana Fire Prevention Code is either conduct a fire watch or evacuate the facility. And evacuating Duke's Hospital or a nursing home just isn't an option. So this is what this ordinance is about, is just so that we can charge for the overtime to get our money back. Any questions?
Now, as I recall, back in what you just mentioned,
That when we did the high school,
yes, we did have to pay.
well, you did, but you actually paid the individual. The fire chief at the time just let the firemen be contractors and you paid them direct. In a true emergency, that just doesn't work, trying to find off-duty guys. And again, we was covering the hospital, we was covering Blair Ridge, and then Western Remand went down. The right thing to do is send an on-duty guy up and backfill with off-duty to get the facility covered. Because as the chief, I do not want to go up and have to evacuate the hospital or nursing home. So this is.
So this will be billed then to the facility?
Yes.
And money will go through the city?
Come back through the city, absolutely. Absolutely.
How much money is that?
With our overtime rate, it's roughly for 12 hours, $600.
And 6 hours is typically enough?
Part of
or
it was
12 hours was typically long enough for them to
Well,
get
we
that
did it in
back?
shifts, so you can't have a guy walking, 12 hours is a long time to walk through a
Right.
facility the size of the hospital or Blair Ridge, so we was rotating them out every 12 hours. So,
And about how long does it usually take for them to get their system back up to where they don't need the fire watch anymore?
the hospital was down from Monday through Wednesday. Blair Ridge was down late. It was actually the wee hours Tuesday through Thursday. Western Remand was just like a 12-hour event. It was a pretty easy fix. It was a long time to cover fire watch, and again, hopefully we won't see it like this again, but just trying to cover our bases, because that kind of money with everything else that we do, and I've come back the last 2 years for additional appropriations and overtime for the tornado, and we know that if I can't get some of this money back, it's going to deplete my overtime budget.
And when this money comes back, the city will receipt it in, but then we'll bring it back to the council to recoup it back to overtime in the fire department. So we'll be asking for that money to be put back into the fire department overtime budget as soon as we get it.
Are these businesses aware that they're going to be billed?
They
Or
will.
is it be a surprise?
No, I'm going to talk to them, and I've got a good working relationship with both maintenance, at all those facilities, and they understand. I mean, they understand what we went through, and it was costing. So
They would have had to pay anyway.
yeah, they're going to.
They would have had to contract
Yeah.
if we didn't, this ordinance not being in place.
Right, I mean, that's the only option is either contract, like the high school did. I don't even remember what year that was, Steve. I was up there on fire watch, but it's a good many years ago.
2005, I think. 2005, maybe.
I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was about 90 when that sent place.
But they were paying, it was just paying, contracting with the individual. This is a cleaner way to do it. It makes it easier on my part. I don't have to make a bunch of phone calls. I can send the on-duty guys and just backfill with the guys that's on the call list. We have a overtime call list, so I can backfill the station with that.
Other communities do the same thing?
I don't know what everyone's doing. I do know that Wabash, it was a big controversy here a few months ago at Wabash that they wasn't going to do fire watch, and they were going to evacuate those facilities. I received a call from one of the nursing homes over there asking me if I would do fire watch for them. So I don't know what they worked out, but communities have to either do one or the other. They have to do the fire watch or evacuate the facility. It's state law, and that's part of what the fire marshal does when he comes through here. Ask those facilities how they're handling that when their alarm system or sprinkler system goes down. Any other questions?
Quite possibly with dealing with nursing homes and hospitals, there's a lot of people that probably couldn't be moved out there.
Yeah, it's just not an option to evacuate the facility, especially the kind of weather we was dealing with Monday and Tuesday. In the summer, it wouldn't be a good option,
Yeah.
let alone when the wind chill is 30 and 40 below.
I remember when my mother was up in continuing care, and I often thought about what if they'd have a fire, because there was no way that they could get her downstairs, and everything, the way she was hooked up. I asked the nurse one time, and she just looked at me, you know, and I could tell she didn't have any idea either, you know. So it's really serious when it gets down to nursing homes and hospitals. It's serious anytime, but particularly with them.
Okay, do we have any audience, or questions from the audience? Roll call.
Alley,
Thanks, Chris.
Goff,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, resolution number 1, 2014.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Prue, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act, accessibility guidelines for standards for accessibility design and guidelines for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way.
Move we adopt resolution number 1, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Lee, to adopt resolution 1, 2014. Questions? The next 3 resolutions that you see are all going to be dealing with ADA issues. What we're doing and getting our continuing effort to make sure that, you know, we comply with ADA regulations and make sure that if we want to get certain grants, like for NDOT grants and things like that, these are some of the steps you have to go through if you're going to do sidewalk replacement programs and ask NDOT for funding. You have to have a lot of this ADA compliance in place. So the next 3 are going to be dealing with ADA that we have to submit through to you and have your positive vote on that so that we are legitimate in the ADA compliance and eligible for grants in the future. So they're all pretty similar. This one just says that the Common Council will hereby adopt the 2010 Americans with Disabilities Standards for Accessibility Design and 2011 Guidelines for Pedestrian Facilities in Public Right-of-Way. So,
Well, I know that West Main Street and North and South Broadway all have, you know, are fine on the corners. What about 5th Street and 3rd Street and 7th Street? So if we adopt this and we don't have that, was there an issue?
we've hired Randall Miller and Associates to be working on that. They are working now, looking at the intersection. We have 252 intersections they have to look at. Most of them will not pass.
Right.
And they know with the ADA that we can't replace them all at once. And working with the local chapter, and Cheryl's involved with that, they know we're working on it. And they don't expect us to say, okay, in 2 months you're going to have every intersection done, because they know we don't have the funds to do that. But they know that we are going to work on it. And they've been a very good partner for us with the Harvesting Capabilities Group. So, like I say, the next 3 are just very similar in what they do, but they're all have to deal with the ADA compliance, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. Even some, Kurt, on the sidewalks have been replaced, they have changed the regulation on it. So what you may have put in new and would pass at that time, they have changed that now, so we may not even be compliant with some that we just recently did make compliant. So it's changed, you know, how many inches per foot that you're allowed to have the slope on it, so we may have to change some of those as well. So it's all dealing with ADA compliance. So as we go through these, you're going to hear the same dialogue or read the same dialogue in the resolution. It's all dealing with the same type of compliance issues. Any other questions I can answer? Any questions in the audience? Roll call.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Crosskoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Motion carries. No, let's back up here. Where you at? Hold on. Okay. The next item is resolution number 2, 2014.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Prue, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA Coordinator and Procedures.
Move we adopt resolution number 2, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskoff, second by Councilwoman Lee, to adopt resolution 2, 2014. Questions? Same type of thing here, only it is where it is, I've agreed to be the ADA coordinator for the city to make sure this is followed through properly. So that is just naming me as the ADA coordinator for the city and make sure that we follow all guidelines.
The mayor, not you, the mayor. I mean, the office of the mayor, not
It says
Jim Walker.
the mayor is
Okay, I'm
designated as the ADA coordinator of the city.
I'm just clearing that up. It's not Jim Walker for the rest of your life. It's
No, it says
okay.
the mayor on there, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on that one? Audience? Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. On the next one, on Resolution 3, 2014, Mr. Berkshire pointed out there is, where it says the 1, 2, 3, the third whereas down, where it said, that whereas the city of Peru adopted Resolution number 3, 2014, it should be Resolution number 1, 2014. Okay, so with that, we'll introduce Resolution number 3, 2014.
Did you already do it?
Oh, sorry. I don't know where my mind is. A resolution of the City Approved Common Council of the City of Peru, Indiana, adopting the Americans with Action Plan for pedestrian facilities in the public right-of-way.
I move we adopt resolution number 3, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilwoman Lee, to adopt Resolution 3, 2014. Questions? Yeah, if you look down there, it says that the city remains committed to ADA and the elimination of barriers to public facilities, and also that a transition plan for pedestrian network has been prepared that reflects current municipality infrastructure and ADA design standards, referred to as the ADA Transition Plan Pedestrian Network. So you're talking about sidewalks and access throughout the city.
Does this cover businesses also, or is this just the?
No, that's, because it'll say on here to the public right-of-way, pedestrian facilities and public right-of-way.
Thanks.
Now, some of the, as we've talked before, there are some businesses in the downtown where they may have a step going into their buildings, but as working with harvesting capabilities, they have said that if somebody put a doorbell there where they can ring the doorbell and somebody come and help them in their building, then they're going to say that's accessible. So there are things we're working on to make sure that we can, because there are some areas, if you raise the sidewalks up to meet the level of the entryway, you're going to have a curb that's about a foot tall, and you're not going to be able to open your door. So, there are things that, like I said, they've been a very good partner to work on these issues, so. But this is the public right-of-ways on this one. Okay, any questions? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff? Yes. Guston?
Yes.
Crosskopf?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, Resolution 4, 2014.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Peru, Indiana, establishing the amount of salary for the mayor, clerk treasurer, city attorney, and utility service board members during the calendar year 2014.
Move we adopt resolution number 4, 2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt Resolution 4, 2014. Questions? This is the one that comes through to you every year, and just to reiterate, the utility service, Peru Utilities is owned by the city of Peru, and therefore they have always compensated those positions. And I think it's by state statute that they cannot lower it, that, it doesn't say they have to always increase it, they can't lower it, and so there's state statutes that are followed by that. So that is, it is all listed there on what those would be.
Is this 2% more than last year?
I
I
have
don't know
no
what it
idea.
is.
I believe it is.
We never asked for anything from them, so what comes
Having
through, this is
attended-
when
having
we find
attended
out. I don't know
the,
what.
Utilities Service Board meeting, I believe they stated.
I think, What'd you calculate?
It was
58?
58 cents every 2 weeks for me.
Mine's 78 cents.
It's about 2%, but with the exception of the utility service board members,
I think
and
they
that
left-
stays the same.
Yeah, I think they did not ask for a increase. So. Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Crosskopf,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. That is all that's on the agenda, but I do believe Councilman Greer
Yeah.
has something he would like to present to the council.
Yeah, I'd like to dispense with the rules and add Resolution 5, 2014 to our agenda. Resolution, the Common Council Peru pledge $30,000 to Peru Skate Parks Nonprofit Committee. We have Steve Anderson here and Kip Arnold from the skate park, or the Parks Board, to give some information about this. And they provide these packets with the information and testimonials from other cities and other communities in Indiana and across the, I don't know if there's, are there ones
Okay.
outside of Indiana
But
too?
before we get ahead of ourselves,
Oh, sorry.
okay. He has made a motion to suspend the rules and allow Resolution 5 to be placed on the agenda before we get into any discussion. Is there a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it has been moved by Councilman Greer, second by Councilwoman Torrance, to suspend the rules and allow Resolution 5, 2014 to be placed on the January 13, 2014 agenda. All in favor? Or roll call?
First of all,
Hang on, we have to, we're just putting it on the agenda.
Agenda.
That's all we're doing.
okay,
Okay. Roll call on
Roll
that
call.
motion.
Alley,
Yes.
Goff,
yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Crosskopf,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you have to make a to adopt Resolution 5, 2014.
I need to know what Resolution 5, 2014 says in its entirety.
Right.
What is, what's the resolution?
We don't have,
What is your resolution?
I just said what it is.
Would you repeat it? He didn't hear.
Right. It's a resolution of the Common Council of Peru, Indiana, pledging $30,000 to the Peru Skate Park nonprofit committee.
From
Uh,
what fund?
Does it have to have which fund it's going into?
Yeah.
All right, I'd say it's CDIP fund. That's what we talked about.
I mean, that's the one that you guys have talked about, right? Let's see it. Yeah.
What was
Okay.
that amount again? Great.
Okay, so
Gabe?
30,000.
before we get into a lot of discussion,
30,000.
we have to put this on the floor,
Yeah.
so don't get into.
I move we adopt resolution number 5,
5.
2014.
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Greer, to adopt Resolution 5, 2014. Question?
Now discussion.
The reason why it's been hastily put together as far as the resolution on the table is because there's a grant that we are trying to get. The grant is for $25,000 from the Tony Hawk Skate Foundation. The deadline for this grant is tomorrow. The resolution isn't it's a resolution, it's not an ordinance. We're not actually taking the money out now to do this. What we're saying is that the city is going to pledge support to the park, and the grants that we're trying to get has to see support from the city. So basically what we're doing tonight is pledging support.
Could this be done with in-kind services or anything like that? No?
You have some in-kind that they can pledge on it, but no, because right now you're at $250,000 on this project, right?
There's a $250,000
That's the cost of it.
overall cost of the project. We have, and there's a page in here, it has has a breakdown of the cost for the parks and what we have so far. I believe it's the fourth page in. And so you can see what the amounts and what's needed and what's been pledged and collected through donations. Steve, I don't know if you'd like to come to the podium. I know Steve Anderson has been heading this up. He's been the figurehead and the person doing all the legwork trying to get this done for the city. He's been in contact with the Tony Hawk Foundation and spoken to them about what they require. And so.
Yeah, the Tony Hawk Foundation is really adamant that they see we're getting plenty of like in-kind donations, but they want to see where the city is actually putting forth something besides the community. So that's why we're asking for $30,000. And on top of that, we need cash to pay for concrete, to pay some labor that we can't get donated, because the professional skate park builder that's helping us, we obviously have to pay him. Well, the rest of this stuff we're getting donated by the people in the community, but we're still needing cash to purchase concrete, because we only got, a small donation on the concrete part. We were hoping for a little more, but a lot of the stuff we're getting free, but we still have to have cash to pay for a lot of these items. So with the $30,000 we're asking from the city and hopes we get the $25,000 from Tony Hawk, that really puts us in the positive to be able to actually start the project without having, because it's really hard to try to raise $30,000 from the community. I mean, we're struggling to get $7,000 as of now with what we've actually raised cash from, fundraisers that we're doing.
You have 7?
Yeah, we have 7 in there. Well, when all the money's in there from our grant that we just received, we should have around $7,000 of what we actually raised in cash so far. But our in-kind donations are way up there as far as the volunteer help and the donations from contractors.
The Tony Hawk grant, is it a matching grant? Do you have to have this?
No, it is they just kind of look at the whole project. They go from $1,000 to $25,000. And when I spoke to them, the last time I spoke to them about 4 different times now, they're telling me to apply for the highest amount, because where our project's at for what we have, and with our skate park builder that we're having come in to do the work for us, they're like really excited about the fact that we're going to have it professionally built, not locally built. So they're, we're pushing towards the higher end of that. There's no guarantee of what we're going to get. It's a grant, but it's looking pretty good.
But the
for us
highest
as of now.
25.
Yeah, the highest is 25,000.
So
But one of the requirements is that they want to see city money, not just me out raising the money. They won't help.
Has the city has donated the land, is that correct?
They won't take that into
The
consideration.
park board, so that's worth how much?
They don't take that into consideration, because when I spoke to them about that, first thing I said, I'm like, well, the city gave us the land. They're like, what city doesn't have land to give you? That's not something that they really took into consideration, because that's not a financial help to us. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Basically, the way that I took it was, they want to see that the city has skin in the game and is actually going to be like, we're going to work for this too, not just, yeah, you can do it, just go do it. And so for us to say, yes, we're for this too, we want to see this happen. Every city has land it could give, and so they don't see that as skin in the game, and the city saying, the city could give land.
Yeah, they want to see that it's a community effort and a city effort, not just a couple people that the park department gave some land to.
Okay,
Well-
let me ask a question. Is what you're asking for, getting $25,000 from Tony Hawk?
Yes.
If
Yeah,
you don't
one
get
of
the
their
$25,000?
Well, there's no dollar amount. They just said that if there's not money from the city, then you don't meet the criteria.
No, I'm just.
That isn't what his question
Or
was.
is this, the money you're asking for, are you going to say it's contingent upon getting the $25,000?
No, the $30,000 that we're asking for gets us to the 40%.
Irregardless of whether you get the Tony Hawk money or not?
Well, no, in order to apply for the grant, you have to have 40% of the project complete. Where we've got our in-kind donations and our cash donations, that's where the $30,000 comes from, to get us to our 40% to even qualify for the grant.
Not $30,000, whether you get any money from Tony Hawk or not, though,
Right.
right? And now, I was also told you asked for $30,000 from the park board. Is that
I don't
correct?
know. That's what I have Kip here for. I don't know where I'm asking for. I don't know where there's money
I
available.
mean, is the total going to be $60,000 that you're asking for from the city?
No, 30,000.
So you're not going to ask anything from the park board?
Well,
I
don't-
when Steve and I had talked about this, as far as the city giving money, whether it comes through the park board or through the city council, like, it doesn't matter to us whether the city council gives that money to the parks board budget and then the park gives it, or if the city gives it directly. We're just asking that the city appropriate in the future, resolve to appropriate in the future, $30,000 that would be given to the skate park nonprofit.
I don't know where there's money available to know who to ask for. That's why I got with Gabe to find out where there's money available. I mean, if it comes from 10 different places, I don't care.
Well,
If it's 2,000 from one and 5,000 from another, however it needs to happen.
okay, the one thing I have to be clear of, and I want these individuals to be clear of, we keep talking about Tony Hawk, and we've done research on it. And let me begin by saying, I applaud anybody who wants to do something and see some things happen. But they have $8,000 in a $250,000 project.
And $60,000 of in-kind donation.
But I mean, you still got a long way to go
Sure.
to build the park. The other thing, if you apply for Tony Hawk grant, from what I've read in here and others have read, you can't put a fence around it. You can't put a lot of rules and regulations on it. And there cannot be any signage there. Now, we just had our liability insurance double on us. My opinion is, we're going to have to protect the city, or, you know, it's considered an extreme sport, right?
Yes.
So if somebody breaks an arm, gets a concussion, and, you know, there's no rules to say you got to wear this, 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 and this, and you don't have any restrictions on the use of it, I am very worried about the liability aspect of it. I'm also worried that in the Tony Hawk Foundation grant that you get, it has to be all concrete construction. You can't put in the metal or the plastics or whatever else material. Is that correct?
No, you can have that. They don't want you to purchase ramps. And we don't plan on that anyway. It's an all concrete
I mean, in
park.
here it says it needs to be an all concrete.
It says your project must be a permanent concrete skate park. There can be no temporary ramps such as steel or wood.
There's not.
Right.
So it has to be a permanent concrete
It's all
skate park.
100% concrete.
Okay, and then who's going to be responsible for maintaining that?
There's very little maintenance. There's research in there of the amount of maintenance on it is very, very minimal if you put it built properly. And we're hoping to keep our foundation open to where after this is built, there's still money that goes into that will help pay for future
And we
repairs.
just,
Are you going
and
to
we
be
just had a meeting
responsible
with
for
the
maintenance
park.
then?
We just had a meeting with the park, the new park director, was our last meeting. He himself said that the maintenance on this would be less than what the maintenance on the property is right now, because they would spend more money on gas and mowing the grass than they would on a concrete park.
Yeah, but who's responsible for the maintenance?
I assume it'd be the parks department.
Yeah, it would be the Parks Department. And the Parks Department has
And all
said
the
that,
liabilities on the city, correct?
Correct. And there was no insurance increase.
We've asked Mark, we knew this was coming. Mark Allen's our insurance rep. Mark, would you be willing to talk about the liability aspect?
Could you come up,
Come up here,
Let me hear you, please.
Mark.
I'm Mark Allen, I'm the insurance agent for the city. Kip and I spoke probably the beginning of last year, August or so, regarding the feasibility of a skateboard park in the city proper and whether it would fall under the city's insurance or what have you. I said, well, I could certainly check with the insurance company at the time and ask them what their criteria was. The company at the time said, as far as we would have to look at the drawings, we'd have to look at the specs. Yes, we have insured skateboard parks within cities before. As long as it's done right, we don't have any issue with it whatsoever. Since that time, we've moved on to another insurance company, not that they won't do it, but they need to have the same criteria met as well. They are telling me that if all the plans are met, and the blueprints look good, what have you, there's going to be an increase of approximately $2,500 to $4,000 in liability insurance. The issue they have is, how do you control this? Do you fence it? And do you have somebody there to monitor it, gate it, whatever? How do you can post signs all you want, but unfortunately, if somebody gets out there at a certain time of midnight or whatever the case might be and gets hurt on there, it's awful tough to get a hold harmless on the city when nobody's out there monitoring it. That's their concern. That's why there would be an increase in the cost for liability insurance, but that still doesn't preclude somebody saying it's city-owned property, you know, they could sue the city. And that's the only concern we have. So, yes, it's the same as it has been, but there would be an increase in the premium for the usage or the building of the facility.
Yeah, I've spoke to 12 skate parks in the state of Indiana in the last 2 days, the Parks Department and mayors, and none of them has said anything about any increase at all in the skate parks. Actually, this is what they sent me here. Through the Indiana state law, they cannot sue the city because it is considered an extreme sport. Skateboarding is excluded from suing the city of any accidents.
And that's fine. What I'm talking about is possibly a situation where somebody is not truly a skateboarder and gets access, young kid, whatever the case might be, crawls up on there like a piece of playground equipment. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that my company is saying that much like swimming pools are an exposure that we used to have, we don't anymore. It can be done. It can be placed under the insurance as long as it's built correctly. That was my main concern.
And
was
it's
to make
built
sure.
by a professional
Yeah,
skateboarder.
and I'm not, they said as long as the loss control looks at it, analyzes the plans, yes, it can be done. Now, there are lots of different ways where people can get around suing the city or not suing the city or what have you. So again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm sure Mr. Berkshire could speak to that, but it's a question of whether we want the exposure, whether or not they could be sued or not.
And Mark Allen, here's one thing that whenever insurance year for the city of Peru, the thing that they looked at were, so the other liability that we're going to have is the fact that it didn't matter how many claims were filed that we were actually going to have to pay somebody off, or it was going to be a filed suit that was actually a legitimate filed suit against the city. People file tort claims all the time. When we look at claims filed, all of those tort claims are listed. So whenever the insurance company looked at it, we had a number of insurance companies that would not even look at us because of the number of claims filed. The other concern that we bring before this with insurance is the fact that it doesn't matter what it says. What's going to matter is the number of claims filed. So next year, whenever we go and we say, we know insurance doubled, but we've met with department heads on safety. We're going to have monthly meetings with every department. We're going to have monthly safety meetings at every department. We are going to take every single precaution that we can take in order to get those claims down. Our concern is if this happens and 10 people go down and they're going to file claims, then the number of claims filed in fact doesn't go down. It will increase the number of claims filed against the city. So that is a concern that we've also spoke with.
So
with
can I
Mark.
just recap there what was just said, that our insurance in $120,000, but we are concerned about you saying that it's going to be an increase between
I'm just talking about,
like 4,000 and 100
I'm
and...
just talking about the additional liability premium would be an increase between 25,000 and 2,500 and 4,000. Now, to speak to Jackie's point.
Right. But we were talking about two different things here.
No, it's all the same.
You know, I think what she's trying to get at is the big picture.
Right.
We've just gone through what I consider an anomaly of claims. And whether those claims are valid or whether those claims were unjustified, doesn't matter.
Right.
Insurance companies, by law, we have to report the claim to the insurance company.
Correct.
They have to defend, deny, whatever the case might be. In that process of a claim not being paid, if they deny it or whatever, you've still got defense that has to be paid by the insurance company prior to any kind of.
And does anyone know what the national, or what the average amount of claims made in suits for skateboarding?
I have it right here.
Right.
If you
Because
look
they're
at
actually
on
lower than-
this, like hot,
I'm not saying that it isn't.
Right.
I'm just saying that you can understand where
Right.
Mrs. Gray
Yeah,
is
because
coming
what you're talking about is if there's a claim, whether or not it comes through or not, doesn't matter how it pans out in court. If there's a claim, your insurance can go up.
Well, it
Yeah.
can if there is a defense involved, whether they go to court and settle on an amount, they still have to defend the case. Once the tort claim is brought to the insurance company, they have in-house lawyers or they hire lawyers locally, whatever the case might be, to defend that particular claim if in fact it's a legitimate claim. And I'm not saying that this skate park is going to be an inordinate amount of inundated new claims. I'm just saying that insurance companies look at the frequency of claims
Right.
as much as they do as if you have one claim for $1 million, nothing's probably going to happen. But if you have an inordinate amount of frequency in claims, that's where they start looking at the big picture and saying, we've had an anomaly of claims here in this
Right.
particular situation.
Yeah, and I understand what you're
Whether
saying.
it's a skateboard park
Right.
or police or whatever the case might be, they're looking at
Right.
the big picture.
But the point we're making is that if there's a skate park here, then there's this possibility of there being more claims made against the city.
There's
Right.
always that possibility. You've got a new
Right.
exposure.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that there will be,
Right.
but inherently, the reason why the insurance company would charge a little bit more in premium, not a lot, is because we have a different exposure. If you open the pool back up, we would have additional premium based on the fact that we've got diving boards or don't have diving boards, kids slipping and falling on the wet surface, whatever the case may be. It's just the opportunity for something like that to happen. That's all I'm saying.
That's life. That's
And
life.
one of the things that I looked at, because I wanted to look at both sides of the fence, when it comes to like accidents, recordables, ER visits, like basketball is 1.61, skateboarding is .003. It's fishing is 0.19. There's more incidents that happen, ER visits, in fishing than there are in skateboarding. And then you look in basketball, 161. I mean, that's, skateboarding is not as dangerous as it appears to be. And there's a list in there of 5 different communities around here, Warsaw, I believe Noblesville is one of them. They don't have any incidents. They don't have any problems. They don't have any maintenance issues. The worst thing that any of them can say is every now and then somebody will spray some graffiti on it. They said they don't have lawsuits. That's been a blessing to their city. Noblesville has put 2 in. They're in the process of putting a 3rd one in. And they would have wished they built the first one even bigger. There's not been any complaints from any city that I've talked to, and I've talked to 12 of them in the last 2 days, and I've got 6 things in their letters from them stating that they don't have any issues with it. And the fact that it's not that dangerous, excuse me.
I'd like to say something. List of things, what we've supported in the past, and come what may. We made a shelter for dogs. You got 2 women that are in the process of trying to locate a cat house with 4 legs. That's the kind of cats I'm talking about. With a river walkway, down there, we create that for people to walk on. That Miami's Port Park that's sitting there for a younger group of kids. Years ago, I think Judge Emery, kicked that off, and tremendous volunteers. Ace Hardware lent tools out for people. The men volunteered. The women cooked down there. I think I gave a couple hams, several, I don't know what big containers of cartons of pop, not cartons, crates. And everybody went gung-ho in it like that. We done that for younger people. Our West City Park, there's softball down there. Nickel Plate Trail, place for people to bicycle and walk on. My main concern would be, I would like to see if this went through. I'm tired of seeing kids on skateboards down our sidewalks and streets and in our businesses, jumping off them, throwing them. I've been cussed at and everything by these particular young people, but I understand where they're coming from. I would like to see this happen. Last time I looked over in Wabash at what they had erected over there, a policeman, I think, had donated some property, and there was no fence around it, no nothing, and a bunch of just plastic here and there, and kids were having a ball. They were having a ball.
Wabash does have a fence around it.
Pardon me?
Wabash does have a fence around it. I talked to the park director the other day.
Yeah.
It has a fence around it, and they do have
Now?
rules and
It
rules and
didn't the last
regulations.
time I looked at it.
There's
Yeah, they-
nothing that states that we can't put rules. We can
It
enforce
doesn't
our,
that grant.
no, I've got the Tony Hawk book right here. It states in this,
I
what you
got a
can
copy
and
of the grant. It says what
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah, well, we talked about the, you're talking about the helmet rules and what they support, what they don't. He leaves it completely up to the city, whether it's a state law, because like Oregon and I think Colorado, it's a state law, you have to wear a helmet. He supports that, but California, none of the other places that he sponsors, they don't require it. So he doesn't care. He leaves it up to the city or the state if there's a law in place, and he will recommend safety equipment, which they all do.
You know, it also says in there, Steve, that Tony Hawk Foundation, if they give a grant, that you have to waive them of all liability. If they are worried about liability, why shouldn't we?
They're just donating the money. They're not building the park, because if they gave us the money and we build a dangerous park, I don't see where he would really want that liability on himself.
I mean, to me, it looks like it's an admission that there is some liability issues.
Well, I mean, there probably have been incidents, I'm sure, but like the proof is right here. There's more accidents in fishing than there are in skateboarding, and we support basketball, baseball. They're way above and beyond this. I mean, it's not any
Just to say
more
that there's
dangerous.
liability there's liability of me walking out on the street right now to get to my car. There's liability everywhere. So for them to say we don't want to be responsible for the liability when we hand out grants to hundreds, if not thousands of different parks around the states
thousands.
versus somebody, the actual people who maintain that park to have liability, I think is completely different.
It's safer than putting the kids on the streets, because that's what's happening. There's been more incidents there's only been one fatality that I know of that I've read on all these research I've done, and it was because a kid skateboarding on the street got hit by a car.
Well, I also when I talked to Wabash, the kids are still at the courthouse and every
Yeah,
place else.
and they have a very, very poor skate park. It is a couple of bought makeshift ramps in a old abandoned parking lot. It's
But
not,
let me ask you another question, go a different direction. When this first started, you said it was going to be like a $100,000
the
project.
actual park itself, to pour the concrete, we could probably get away with 130, 140,000. We're wanting to raise the money to put the light in, put the benches in, put trash cans in, put a parking lot, landscape it to where it looks nice instead of just throwing some concrete on the ground and walking away from it. We're trying to make the project, when it's done, look complete. I mean, we could have went for a lot less money, but we would have had a lot less product when we were done. So we're shooting for the stars, and if we don't have that much money at the end, we'll back off and build what we can build.
Right.
But I would like to make it look like the walkway, make it all blend in to where it's not just this ugly skate park with the fence around it and some metal ramps that they constantly are rusting and making a mess. There's a difference.
I guess there's some other things you need to consider. The other thing is that this grant can also be applied for in July. So this grant can be applied for again this year. It seems to be that what needs to take place is this committee needs to go to the park board and say to the park board, are you willing to give the money? Are you willing to take insurance out of your budget? And are you willing to take maintenance and upkeep out of your budget? If you're not willing to do that, we have two park board members here, then that's going to be really difficult for maintenance, upkeep, and insurance on it. The other thing is it's a $259,000 project. You have $69,800 in kind. That leaves $180,200. If we even say that we're going to give 30, there's still $150,000 to be raised.
Which Stevie just said, if we don't get that, there's
You can still build
every
this
level
park for a
of-
lot less than that.
So
If
150.
we get the 30 from the city, and if we get the 25 from Tony, we're still applying for other grants. We're not done. If we just ask for this, we're not going to walk away and say this is all the money we
Well,
have.
on behalf, I mean, the council can vote on, it's up to the council to vote on this, but it would seem to be that you're kind of jumping the gun saying you're going to give 30,000 if you still have $150,000 to raise on the thing with Phyllis. Miami's Fort was all done, it was done by a large group, done by donations, the whole project. Little League has their own board, they pay for their own insurance, they pay for everything themselves. So all of those other agencies, the difference is that those other agencies aren't coming to the city saying, here you go, we're all going to play baseball, but you get the maintenance and the upkeep and you get to pay for insurance on it. So there's a difference between all the things that you mentioned. But it seems to be that maybe apply for the grant in July whenever you could. Go to the park board. If the park board says, we're not going to pay for the maintenance and upkeep in our budget, and we're not going to pay for the insurance, then what are we going to do? We're still going to appropriate the $30,000 for something that the park board's saying we're not even going to put that stuff in our budget? We don't want it?
So the city's insurance, the park has in their budget, their liability, they pay out of their budget?
No. But that's
So
what
why
we're
would they
saying
add
is,
this to their
Why would it
budget?
change?
why wouldn't they? I
Then
guess.
I mean,
There's no
when
increase.
Miami's Fort was built, did Miami's Fort have to come up with the money for the added liability for that
No,
fort?
but Miami's Fort was all built by donations. The whole
Well, I'm talking about the
project
liability.
was built by
And
donations.
that's fine, but if somebody gets hurt at Miami's Port, they're going to sue the city of Peru.
I
You still have
understand
a
that.
liability.
We do have a liability.
So,
So-
All I'm saying is you're going at it backwards. If the park board's not going to support it, the first thing you better do is go to the park board and say, are you going to support this?
And we've
Their
talked
budget
to
would
the
have
members
to
of the
pay
park
for
board
all the
and
maintenance.
Well, you
They've got
have
a
him
maintenance
saying
on it.
yes,
That
and you
budget-
have
their
Jim
budget
Murphy
has to
saying
well, I
no.
think the park board supports it, but they don't have any money,
Right.
right?
Correct. We've absolutely supported it. I'm Jim Murphy with the Peru Parks Board, and of course, Steve has talked with us and presented this, and it's a great idea. We don't have any money to fund shape or form. We did what we could, and that was to donate the land directly west of Miami's Fort. That's where we stopped.
Right. There's not a department in the city that has enough money to take on a project like this out of their own budget, because we don't budget for them to take on these projects. What we're doing now is asking for the money, and like I said before, we can give that money to the Parks Department, give it, or we can do it
Well, that
directly.
Can you give us some time to look at this?
And what we're asking for right now is a resolution that would pledge support. We're not asking for an ordinance to actually move the money right now. So,
But if they're pledging, that's a question, if they pledge support and after tonight they read, because they don't have anything in front of them to look at. If they pledge support by a vote tonight and you come back later and say, in this meeting, you pledge support for this, now we're putting an ordinance together, and they vote differently at that point, it's going to put them in a bad spot.
I would like to see this thing happen, but I want to read this.
I'd like to make some comments as well. I'm all for a skate park. I think it would be a wonderful addition to our Parks Department. I suppose I sort of have to say that because my youngest son was a skater whenever he was young and did those kind of things, and he always wanted a place like that. Now I have an opportunity to throw my support behind something like that, and I do, but tonight I feel rushed. I got this, haven't had a chance to read it. I'm hearing that you're applying for a Tony Hawk grant, which is going to place restrictions on what you can do with rules and fences and
The only rule that's in
protective
place
equipment.
is he doesn't say that you cannot put a fence up. He just doesn't want it to look like a dog cage. A lot of these places, they put a fence around them, look like a dog cage. There's really no purpose for a fence. It's free to the public. It's not like you're trying to lock people out.
Yeah.
You enforce it, you put your rules up, parks closed at this amount of time.
But
you know.
still, I feel rushed with not being able to read the information to know, if I'm going to vote yes tonight to place support behind $30,000, then I don't want to change my mind at some point and say, well, no, I'm not going to give you $30,000. But I just feel too rushed. And also, the $30,000, I think you said, Gabe, that the $30,000 was to come from CEDAT. That's what you would recommend. That's a county economic development income tax. Are we developing the economy with a skate park?
Yes. There's tons of information here of other mayors and councilmen that talked about the economical development into their community after it was done, the amount of people that come in, the tourism, the local businesses that saw the immediate impact of people coming in their stores asking for directions to the skate park. There's talk about the first week they're open, there's hundreds of people that come to these parks. We travel and we go to parks. They're busy everywhere.
But
And
we're not-
talking to mayors of other communities, they think it's a great thing.
But we're not looking, this money, to me, this money from CEDAT is to be spent to bring jobs to our community. Are we bringing jobs?
Yeah, you'll have to have a skate park or a skate shop at some point. I don't know of any, I've never been to a skate park that didn't have a skate shop in it because, you have to have the equipment. You have to buy the skateboard, you have to have the safety equipment. You have to have a place if your skateboard breaks and you're out of town, you go purchase them there. I mean, we buy skateboards or whatever we need at the time at the places that we go to. And it's in there as well, towns talking about how it brought in high-level skate shops into their community to support the park itself.
And I also don't know at this point, without asking questions to either Mrs. Gray or the mayor, what our seated budget looks like. Where are we planning, what are we planning? What projects do we have that we're looking to spend the money on? How much do we have to spend? I don't know all that either. And so I hate to vote tonight because there's too many questions.
And I've tried to get the answer as quick as I can. This is just coming awful fast. And Jackie is right. You can reapply later, but then that just puts us into next year doing the project, and I don't want to drag it out another year.
Well, for the amount of money that you have right now, it looks like you're going to have to drag it out to raise more funds. That's kind of the way it looks to me. And so, to give us a chance to think through this, to read the information you've given us, to look at the Tony Hawk grant, to know what the budget looks like. I don't know any of that. And so for me to say, yes, I'm going to give you $30,000 and I don't even know, what the budget looks like, that'd be hard for me to do tonight, even though I support the skate park. I really would like to see us have a nice skate park in our city. I really would.
Me too.
But I just feel rushed tonight.
Well, this is my 19th year sitting on the council, and I don't know, everything seems to be about money, and that's life. But it seems like when things that we pursue, we manage to get the money somewhere. We put our hearts behind it and everything like that, and we manage to get the money somewhere, somehow. And I'm proud to say that. I'm proud to say that.
You talking about the city finding a way to do it? The money? Is that what you're saying?
Well, Jim, we've have supported a lot of things that I really didn't, when I got right down to it, I didn't like. But I supported them. I thought it would be good for Peru. That's why I support them. I think it'll be something, there's a group of our young people that are completely left out. You got parks, you got a park there on Main Street. I can count the time that people don't use that. Since they put the rubber tires in there, hardly anybody ever uses that place. Mm-hmm. And it used to be used to who tied it. And the last meeting I went to, the Parks Department, of course, I realized they have to update their plan all the time, their master plan. But they were going to do this, and they were going to do that. And I thought, well, you're a bunch of dreamers. You're a bunch of dreamers doing something it's not even hardly used now. I would guarantee that this skateboard park would be used. And I think it would eliminate a lot of these problems that we have in parking lots now up in Broadway, in homes, sidewalks in front of your houses and everything.
Here's where I think...
I have never been for closing the Miller Pool. In my heart, we took a lot away from Peru when we did that. And I knew it would added up to nothing, but it was just about money. And that is sad.
You gotta stay within the
That
budget.
is sad. And then created a place for dogs. And I never will get over that.
And the only biggest rush for me is the fact that if we don't get the 30,000, then we will not get the 25. And then if we have to wait till June to reapply or July, whatever it was, we are not going to have the skate park builder to be able to do what we're wanting to do. He's not going to just be at our beck and call. He's in California now building one. He's hoping his schedule is spring. Build this thing in the spring with the money we have available. And if that $55,000 there, that purchases what we need, and the rest of it will continue to get in grants.
But Steve, I think you'd have to agree with what you heard about being rushed. They have nothing in writing in front of them.
Right. I've tried. We've met numerous times, and I've tried to give as much information as I can. That's
Whether this is a skate park or a swimming pool or whatever it is, it's not, when you sit here and you're asking the community to do something, and my job is not to sit here and find fault with your project. My job is to protect the city if I think there's something that could be, harmful to the city, and that's what I'm doing. I told Gabe that before the meeting. That's my position is from the city side of things. I'm not looking at it from a personal side of Jim Walker. I'm looking at it for the city. They're asking something, they have no paper in front of them. You have a $250,000 project that you raised $8,000 on. You know, sometimes that person can say, is there really that much
That's why
support?
I'm here to try to get 55,000.
But, I mean, it's fun. And don't take this wrong, I'm just going to make it for instance here, and I'm not saying that for any other reason, just comparison. You know, when you look at a project and you're taking it on, sometimes you have to put a lot of extra hours into raising the money. In 1988, there was an old building down here called the Peru Depot, and it was ready to be raised. It was looking at a wrecking ball. I didn't want to see it torn down. So a group of us bought it, I mean an organization, bought it, and raised $175,000 and did not get one grant. Not one grant. And we raised it all within Miami County.
Right.
And we did it within 6 months.
I don't have that help, and like with you as the
I didn't
mayor,
either.
if I had your support or the community support of doing fundraisers, like I'm out knocking doors trying to get $50 to, I mean, we're coming from nothing. It's really tough for one person to go out and raise that kind of money. We're having to rely on grants.
I think in your best interest, I think, number one, I think you need to raise more money to show the support in the community. And I think you need to give these individuals time to do some research, because you're throwing a lot at them and no paper in front of them to make a decision.
So
I want
the
to talk about
$30,000
support from the city. I knocked on 1,000 doors when I ran for office. And that's not making that up. I counted 1,000 doors I knocked on. And what is the number one thing that I heard from the citizens? And if somebody else here has knocked on 1,000 doors in this town, let me know.
I've knocked on more than 1,000
I
doors.
have.
All right.
We've all done it.
Well, thank you.
I've been there.
So, and the number one thing, when I asked people what they were concerned about, I don't know what you're doing when you knocked on the doors, but when I asked them, what would you like in the city? The number one thing that they said was, there needs to be more things in this city for the kids to do. And you can have your opinion on whether or not there are things in the city to do, but a skate park is one of the top things they talked about wanting.
Then can we look at a
So when you're talking
compromise?
about
Because
support from the community
in
and
this
what the
grant,
community wants,
it doesn't say you have to have a city's matching dollars.
I didn't say
No.
anything about matching.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to look for a compromise here. So can you say, instead of saying, if the council's big thing is, they don't want to say, to give a dollar amount or to say $30,000, can we write a resolution to make a compromise if you want to have this grant to go through in the January cycle, so that on Wednesday a letter could be written, just a resolution stating, whereas the City of Peru Common Council, and if you come to my office tomorrow, I'll write the resolution. But just to say that the City of Peru Common Council supports the skate park organization to further its endeavors and to look into, or whatever creative language we can put into this resolution, to say that you as a council support the skate park. Not even naming a dollar amount. That way, the council would be supporting it, and then you guys can do your grant in
No,
January.
That doesn't get me to my 40%. It takes $30,000 from my in-kind and everything else to get me to the 40% required to apply for the grant. They want to see 40% of the project complete, as in built. I mean, with our drawings, we're done that. I mean, we've already paid out of pocket to get this stuff done, but we're at the $30,000 mark to get us to our 40%.
Well, even if they give you a resolution pledging $30,000, you're not
It's
going to
not.
have $30,000.
I don't need it. I don't need it until I build it. I don't, and if this thing fizzles out, the money doesn't get spent. It's not like it's going in my bank
I
account.
understand.
This is just something to show the Tony Hawk Foundation their support there, and they give us their money, and then we continue to build from there.
I have a question for you. Just I haven't said anything, but you're talking about having to be at 40%. Okay, you've got a $60,000 parking lot, which is almost more than a skate park. I mean, that's a big chunk. If you knocked the price of the parking lot down, you're at 190,000, which makes 40% 76. You've already got 69.8. You're only $6,200 away from that for having the 40% then.
Right. Yeah, we can take a lot of this stuff off.
Then it's close, and we don't have to, we don't have to come up with $30,000 tonight.
we could do.
You see what I'm saying?
We could do 10.
You could do,
And then take the
you could do
parking
a
lot
smaller
out.
amount if you took the parking lot out. You could take you could take a couple other things out of there. So now I'm saying the park benches are 5,000. Now you can get down to where you've got the 40%. If you've got 69.8, 40%, $70,000, 40% would.
28,000.
Yeah, you've got the money. If we can drop that cost down to 180, then 40% of that would be 72. You've got
72,000.
yeah, you're real close
You're
now.
within
If we can
$3,400.
modify the costs up front, nothing to say you can't do it later, but if you reduce the cost of what you're applying for now, you've got $70,000. You've got your 40%.
But we still need some dollar amount from the city, whether it be with a reduced price and it's 7,000 or 10,000 to get the grant money. They're going to have to see some kind of dollar amount on something to say.
But the grant doesn't say anything about the city granting dollars. The grant, nowhere in this grant does it say that there has to be any dollars from the city. What it does say, though, is that you need to have the city's buy-in, more or less, in this grant. So, I don't know. I think,
Well,
that's a
it's
pretty
not
good
even
compromise.
It's not even just that. I could lower the project down and just put $1,000. Well, I still need the money.
I'm not advocating that. I'm not advocating reducing the skate park itself, but the other niceties, the pretty stuff or whatever, maybe it doesn't have, maybe, as Jim was talking about the depot, we didn't have the money to do that. We did our work from the depot as the money came in. I mean, there was no walkway, there was no gazebo, there was no this.
Right.
We walked, so, yeah, there was an idea that you wanted, where you wanted to get to, but as the money available, then that work was done. So maybe this is what the final thing will be. I'm not advocating cutting the skate park itself, because that's the core. You want that part in there. But the other sundry stuff, maybe you just wait a little bit on that.
Right.
Right, like.
Well, he basically, when he applies for that grant, wants it to look like the city is in favor of this project too. It's not just him or a group like that. The city is involved. He wants the city to get the picture of the city involvement in
If
it.
they say that, if the resolution would say that the city does support the efforts of the Hunger Skate Park, they're looking for money for that grant is what his big thing is for tomorrow. I know the deadline is near, but I'm still going back. There's a lot before you. You don't even have a piece of paper in front of you, and you're asking for $30,000. I would say if you're going to take it out of seated, you might want to check with the economic development folks and see what kind of impact, because there are projects that are looming. And if you want to take it out of some other place, we'd have to look at that and see. And it's just going to be the decision if you think that's the best way to spend that money area. So
And I think that's what Mr. Goff said, is that, we've got to have all the pieces. You've got piece A, piece B, piece C, but we need D, E, F, G, H to get the whole equation.
Right.
You're asking us, and we're the representatives of the citizens of Peru to spend $30,000. Well, they've entrusted us to watch over the funds of the city, and not having all the pieces to make an informed decision is a little tough.
Right.
So that's why I was advocating, if you're going to apply
In all
a grant,
honesty,
if we can reduce it down a little bit, you're pretty close.
in all honesty, Steve, this meeting should have taken place a month ago.
I tried. We've been trying since September to get something done.
But I think you can understand the frustration here. You got a meeting tomorrow, so make a decision, because I need it by tomorrow, and we don't really have all the information to make that decision. And we're challenged with how do we spend the city's money.
Right.
And
That's
where
why a couple months ago I was asking, where is there money available? How do I go about asking for it? Because when I approached you, I didn't know the first thing about where the city has money, who I asked for the money. I don't know.
Well, I know that at the time you said, well, I considered it economic development. And I remember we had a discussion.
Yeah, I was basing that on other projects that I'd looked into where they got their funding from, and money had been used there, so that was what brought that up.
I mean, if you want a letter of support, I think they can give you a letter that they support the concept of the Hunger Skate Parks, but the idea of putting $30,000 out there without a whole lot more information we could have tonight on paper that details things, here's the business plan, this is how we're going to go about it. those are things that are very, very important when you're going to go ask for money.
And it's in there, I just,
But I mean, we don't have that in front of us.
Right.
And I'm very uncomfortable sitting here saying, yes, we can go forward because there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think there is not a clear-cut picture of how this is going to be done. And I don't think anybody's sitting here and said, we just don't want a skate park. That is not the intent. So if anybody takes it that we're not wanting skate parks, I could say from mine, because I know there's been discussion amongst your people that I'm against it and I won't support it because it's not a pet project of mine. And that's no further from the truth. Because in 2005, I was the first one to make a donation to that project when they tried to get it off the ground in 2005.
right.
And you know what? They tried for 6 months and they couldn't do it. They donated that money to another not-for-profit. I was the first one to donate it. So if I'm against it, why would I be donating my own personal money? So don't
And-
think I'm against it. I'm just against the way this is progressing.
And at that point, we did help Lori Fellers at the junior high apply for the Tony Hawk grant. So we did go through the process and help apply for this Tony Hawk grant at one other time.
And that grant, it can be applied for again when?
July.
July. Well, it's
July.
June, they post who gets it in July. It can be applied for in June of 2014.
And
As
you
far
don't, and
as-
you haven't, the contractor that you're talking about that's going to do the.
He's ready to start as soon as weather.
But you don't have him under contract at this?
No, no.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to lock down, because even though I could lower my budget and take things away to get the 40% down from what I need, that still doesn't pay for what, his cost is gonna be $30,000. So I have to pay him $30,000 out of pocket, no matter what I raise. Well, that's why
To do
I'm,
the work, he has to have 30,000 to do the work.
yeah, his estimate to do the project was $360,000 is what his company would charge to do this. He's gonna come in and do it for $30,000 with the help of our community
The
to do the
income.
rest of it.
And I have to point out, Mayor, you mentioned several times that there's not a paper in front of us, and I would like to address why there isn't a paper in front of us. I did come to your office in the beginning of December and asked you about getting a resolution on this agenda, and you said that you would write the resolution for me if I got you the information. That was on
And we
a
never
Friday.
got that information, Gabe.
I gave that information on the following Monday. That was presented with a meeting with Steve where he had the information and gave it to you on
At
Monday.
that time, it was $5,000. I think they were asking, wasn't it, 5 or 10?
I never had asked for a $5,000
Well,
amount.
when you and him was there, what was you asking for at that time?
We were looking at $5,000 from the parks budget that we thought we would roll over at the end of this year, and if I am
So
correct.
you can't write an ordinance, Gabe, that
Right.
we don't know the amount. We've never gotten the amount.
Right.
There's been times that we've called to say this is the deadline for it.
Right.
And
I
whenever-
understand that there was complications after that, but
Yeah, that's the
I
reason it
wasn't,
True.
I wasn't aware that the resolution wasn't going to be coming on until later.
Right.
So,
I mean, we did try to help, but there was no, you can't say write a resolution. It's not my idea, so I don't know what to put into the thing.
Right.
If you're
It's
asking for
just-
amount of money, somebody's got to give you the amount.
it's just if you tell me that you were going to write the resolution for me.
Excuse me,
if you tell me
Gabe.
that you're not.
You
gonna
did ask me about a resolution, and I told you you had to get a resolution to me. I even gave you the deadline
Right.
of when that was.
Right, I'm talking about a conversation I had with the mayor, though.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
Right, no, I know that you told me
You
that.
did, and I
Right.
did tell you when we had to have a deadline
Right.
on that resolution, and I never received anything.
Right, because I asked the mayor, and he said that he was going to give you that resolution. I'm not saying that, nothing against you, Dee.
Again, nobody gave me any definitive information of what they wanted in it, dollar-wise. It was, I've heard 5,000, 10,000, 30,000.
Yeah, I've never come up with any amount other than we were first trying to get it to where it was 25 to 30 was what I've been working on my project. I never had approached
If
anybody
there had been
about
a piece of
5,000.
paper said, this is what we're asked for, I could have written a resolution.
I just would like to
I
have
can't
known
read your
that that
mind
was
and
what
say,
was
this is
holding it
what
up.
we're going to put in. I know how to write a resolution, we could done it.
Yeah, and I didn't know, that's why when I came to you to ask about it, I didn't know how to even approach it, and I've talked to almost every council member here, because I didn't know what to do. I ask everybody, I don't know what my next step is, who I need to talk to, where I ask for money. I mean, I'm kind of blind in here.
I'd like to comment that I am 100% for the skate park, but I think at this time, it's just from our discussion that we don't have enough information, I mean, it might delay the project, but it's better to delay it and do it right than, jump into it and not know what we're getting into financially. I do have a question. You said down the road you would maybe have to hire someone to oversee the park?
Yeah.
So is that included in
Yes,
this
that's a
budget?
skate park builder.
That
He
is in
actually
here.
volunteered his time for when the other contractors are there to oversee, to make sure it's all meets his standard. Even though they're performing the work for a donation, he will still oversee and make sure it's built to his standards,
Oh.
because his name will be on the park.
Construction manager is what you're talking about?
So,
Well, he's the builder, manager, owner, he does all of it, but he'd even said he'll stay on site. If there's gonna be somebody there, I'll be there to make sure it's done properly.
No, I tell you, we have talked about this on the second floor about it. And we've even said that if there was more information and proof that the fundraising efforts are going and you're being more successful in that, that you get to a certain point, it's easier to say, yeah, we can kick in. Right now, you have $8,000 on a $250,000 park, even if you get 25, which we talked to some other folks that applied for it, and they said most of them got 1,500.
Right.
So if it's 1,500, now you got $9,500, you're a long way away, even the in-kind that you're going to do. You know we're close. If you get to the point where you say this can help to get it to the final.
Yeah,
I
about
could
$50,000 to
even-
$60,000 in cash gets us to where we can build the park. We can build the structure of it that won't have landscaping lights or any,
And if you come in with the plan and you was to say, such and such construction is going to come in and do the excavation, this company's donating
yeah, they're in the back.
20 yards of concrete, and you have something from this, says, yes, we are agreeing to do
Right.
that. And you have somebody else that we're donating this, and somebody says, I will make a donation of 10,000. You have a plan out, say, your 30,000 gets us where we need to be, or 10,000, whatever that number ends up being.
Right.
Then you have something you can see that.
And it's
okay.
in here. I know it's new to you at this point, but I mean, trying to do this myself,
Yeah,
there's
but see-
a lot to try to,
And again, Steve,
Can't
I'm
get
not,
together.
I'm not being critical of you, but when you hand it
We need
out
time.
tonight, and we need to make a decision,
right.
and there's nothing else there, it's just kind of late. So, I mean, as far as saying no, nobody here is interested, I just don't think we're ready to go forward based on the information that's been given tonight and the numbers, and I think, quite honestly, to ask them to make a vote tonight, if I were them, I'd walk out of here going, boy, I don't know, because there's not enough information to make that decision.
I do applaud your efforts, and you've worked hard at this, I can tell. I haven't read it, but I leafed through it, and I think...
Please don't stop.
Yeah, I think you've
Have
worked
you had
hard at
any-
it, and I want you to be successful.
Yes.
And I do think, as a city council member, I'd like to see some kind of monetary, us do something monetarily to help out on this, not just the land, but to do something monetarily. But right tonight, I don't know where that's going to come from. I don't know where that money's coming from. But I can check with Mrs. Gray and with the mayor and find out, if we have places for that money, and then I'll know better on how much I can vote to give you.
There was an article in the paper last week, right?
Yes.
About it. Did you have any feedback?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a nice article in the paper. What was did you get phone calls at home?
yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot with our Facebook thing and all of the newspaper articles and everything. It's daily. I'm getting phone calls, emails. I mean, I heard the other day, there's people from Indianapolis asking about our project. I had somebody drive up from Lafayette, pick up our calendars, because they've been hearing about it in Lafayette. They're gonna go sell our calendars there. They're supporting it there. Carmel Skate Shop, or whatever they call it, they want to help support our thing, and they said, there's anything we can do to help raise money, let us know. I called the Bloomington Skate Park the other day, the park director, he goes, we've been hearing about your guys' skate park down there. This is a big thing to a lot of people because of the caliber of skate park that it is. It's not just the ones that most city goes out and spend $3,000 or $4,000 and buy some metal ramps.
Yeah.
This is something people will travel and they want to see it happen.
Okay, so you've told me about Bloomington, you told me about Lafayette, you told me about Carmel. How many calls did you get from the citizens of Peru? That was my question.
Oh, I've got a lot of,
How much support after it was in the paper did you get from? Had people said, "I'll send you $50, I'll send you"?
oh, no, I haven't got any money from anybody. I get a lot of pats on the backs and great job for what you're doing, but that's not paying the bill.
Were you able to get, of course, it was bad weather, you were going to have a meeting at Beef O'Grady's?
I still was there. We didn't have very many people. We
Well,
had, I
the
think,
weather-
what, 8 people?
Probably
the
on
weather
account of
was
the weather,
terrible.
yeah.
So we're gonna have another meeting, because and every single contractor that's pledged in here all contacted me and said, sorry, we're out plowing snow. You know, there was 5 of them said, sorry, I can't make it. I'll be there the next time you have one. But, you know, obviously the weather was bad and they couldn't make it. But the contractors and stuff have been overwhelming of what they're willing to do for it. But that still doesn't pay for concrete, and that still doesn't pay for the skate park builder. The rest of the stuff I can raise. I can raise all the help we need. It's just a matter of the payment of that stuff, and that's where that money is big to me. I can raise it. It's just gonna take me 2 years to do it at $15 a calendar, or, you know, it's just not going very fast. It takes a lot more than one person to raise that kind of money.
Well, you know, and this isn't a lot of money, but looking about what is needed, you've got stone delivery at $1,500, you've got trash removal at $1,000. I don't know. I'm speaking for the city. That could possibly be something that we've got dump trucks. We've got dump trucks.
No, I was just gonna, putting in a couple dumpsters for the construction site.
Oh, that's a construction cost.
Stone delivery. I mean, we've got dump trucks. We could.
Oh, we said all along, we can be down there with our.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff will shave off, but it still doesn't pay.
$1,500, and like I said, it isn't a lot of money, but there are some things that you could.
There's a lot of those items that'll be donated as we go. I know we're gonna get a lot more concrete donated and probably get more stone donated, but that still doesn't pay the stuff that I know we're not gonna get
I
donated.
fully understand. I was just looking,
That's why I'm looking for the cash part of that, and then the rest of it, I'll just bust my butt until I get it all donated if I have to. But the dollar amount's what gets me. The project could actually be smaller. The numbers can be shaved off from, you know, who says we need $1,000 worth of dumpsters? I just put it in there because I figured.
I understand. I'm just looking for.
If, depending, they have to vote tonight, but if it's voted to be tabled until they get more information, if you want to come up again, we'll sit down, because we have to put a business plan together, because right, what you have now is before them.
Yeah, we have the business plan
But
as
we
best as I can do.
But, I mean.
No, you've got a budget. You don't have a business plan.
Well, they wrote a business plan too.
The front part of it.
But, I mean,
Once again, we have
just
to
got, I'm
review it.
talking about something they can get in their hands and they could digest instead of coming in here cold and looking at it.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm trying.
I would help you with that to get it off the dime on, as far as this is concerned. How the ending vote comes, I don't know, but we're not against what you're doing. We do appreciate the work you put into it. But like I said before, I think there's a lot of unanswered questions that you're asking for them to make a decision on. And that's just my opinion. It's their vote. And then, of course, I have to sign off on it if that's the case. So, any other questions, comments, or anybody in the audience?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. You have a motion on the floor. There's been a lot of discussion. You have a motion on the floor. You either vote what they're asking for, and Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking to show a support and a pledge of $30,000 toward the completion of the skate park, correct?
Right.
Okay. And if you feel that you're uncomfortable, if you don't want to vote on this tonight, somebody has to make a motion to table. That's your option.
I make a motion to table the project until we have more information.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Has been moved by Councilman Lee, second by Councilman Goff, to table Resolution 5, 2014. Any questions? Questions on the audience? Roll call.
Alley?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Greer?
No.
Guston?
Yes.
Crosskoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Torrance?
Yes.
Okay.
Would a resolution of support, as Jackie suggested, do any?
You're saying you need dollar amount, right?
To get to his 40%, it's a dollar amount.
But if you shave some of it off.
Budget, pull stuff out.
Yeah.
That doesn't help the project. It just makes it look like the city's doing more than what they are. I mean.
But it lets you apply in January. It gets you the 40% and lets you
I'll do
apply.
whatever I can do with whatever I get. I'm not gonna just give up on it. I just
No, don't give up.
shoot
We don't
from
want
the
you
start.
to.
I'll back off
So
later.
what should that resolution say?
Yeah.
If it gives him something, if he can trim the project, apply for his grant tomorrow.
He asked for $30,000.
Yeah. That's been taken.
We have tabled that one.
Right. That's been tabled.
My question is, can we enter a resolution In support, yeah.
In support of the skate park.
Without a dollar amount.
Right.
A dollar amount.
Yeah, if you want to come up, it'd be a, probably should, if that was the case, should have just amended Resolution 5, but now you're going to make a new resolution, because we just, because you tabled it, so we can't do that.
Now what?
So if, in effect, if you do that, you're probably taking Resolution 5 off the, or.
I was going to say, can you just take Resolution 5 off the table because,
Time limit on a table.
because technically you're going to have an ordinance to appropriate any money. So if you have a resolution to have a dollar amount, that's not going to matter anyway. You're going to have an ordinance to appropriate any money. So can you just take it off the table, vote it down, and redo, if you're going to do that, then do an ordinance just to say that the city approves city council. A resolution.
Can we just modify Resolution 5 and not include a dollar amount?
You're going to have to bring it back off.
You're going to have to bring it off the table.
That's what I mean, yes, suspend the rules.
Yep.
It's just a resolution.
I understand.
So
Right.
I understand.
don't see a problem with it.
Okay. I move we remove Resolution 5 from the table.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Goff, to remove Resolution 5, 2014 from the table. Roll call.
Ally.
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer.
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Crosskopf.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
I move we amend Resolution Number 5, 2014, lending support from the city council for the skate park, to not include a dollar amount.
I'll second that.
It has been moved by
At the
Councilman
present
Crosskopf, second by Councilman Torrance, to show support of the Peru Skate Park. Is this the official name, Hunger Skate Park?
No, that's just the builder.
Okay.
It's still-
To the Peru Skate Park without mentioning a dollar amount? Is that how you stated it?
Yes.
Yes, without a specific dollar amount, yes.
Okay. Any questions? Questions from the audience? Roll call.
Ally.
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer.
Yes.
Guston.
Yes.
Crosskopf.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Okay, so we've amended it. Now do we need to pass it? I amended Resolution 5. Do I need to?
Yep, now you
Yes,
need to make
Okay.
a motion.
Yeah.
I move we,
As amended.
yes, I'm,
5 is adopted.
as amended, right. I move we adopt Resolution 5, 2014 as amended.
Second.
Is that you, Gabe?
Second.
Okay, has been moved by Councilman Crosskopf, second by Councilman Goff, to adopt Resolution 5, 2005 as amended.
2014.
2014, Resolution 5, 2014, boy, we're really dating it, aren't we?
Phew.
Yeah. Okay, any questions? Roll call.
Ally.
Yes.
Goff.
Yes.
Greer. Guston.
Yes.
Crosskopf.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Torrance.
Yes.
Okay. That was fun. Okay.
Okay, now
So
say
for the
we
next
have
meeting or
resolution now.
whatever, yes.
You need that to send in with this?
No.
Pardon?
We can say as is that what we just did.
No, I mean, do you need a piece of paper
No,
stating?
I do not.
Because we can get one put together in the morning.
This is electronically, and I asked them about that, and they're like, if you got it, you got it.
If you need something with my signature on it, I'll.
And if there's any other information anybody needs,
If
I'll
you're going
be
to
more
do
than happy
that,
to
you
do
need
it.
to come over in the morning.
I think you've done your homework. We just need more from other entities.
Then if there's something in there that doesn't make any sense, my information.
The amount of money.
Thank you.
Hopefully he gets his.
Anything else come
Grant
before the council? Anything from the audience come before the council? Not a motion to adjourn be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We're out.